name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Christos anesti.
Christos anesti.
Christ is risen.
Truly he is risen.
Oftentimes, when we want to pay someone a compliment, someone that we love dearly, we might refer to them as a saint. You know, oh, so-and-so is a saint. So-and-so is a great person. Yeah, really great guy. He's a saint. My mom was a saint. And we use that term, and oftentimes we use it to mean they're very nice. We use it to mean I've never seen them do something that's too egregious. They've always, done little sweet things for me here and there, but it's usually around these types of activities that someone gets that moniker, and we call them, oh, that person's a saint. But to be a saint means to be holy. It means to do holy things. And on this day when we celebrate mothers, I want to make the claim that not just because they don't always say nice things, but because they do holy works, that mothers truly are saintly people, given a task by God, called to be holy, blessed with children to look after, either their own by birth or those that He has placed in their trust. But the role of a mother is a holy calling, a calling to be a saint in the lives of our children and our family. And there's no better example for this, the holy calling and the holy responsibilities and actions of mothers, than the example that we have today in the church of the Myrrh Bearing Women. It was the women who are exalted today in the church for going to the tomb of Christ to bring Him oils to anoint His body after He was buried. It was the women who were the first to hear the proclamation of His resurrection and to go and tell the others. The holy work of the Myrrh-bearing women translates so well and is such a part of motherhood, and sometimes we just don't see it. So starting from the beginning of their story at the cross, they were the ones there to witness the pain and suffering of the one that they loved. They were the ones crying and wailing and beating their breasts. They were the ones who felt the pain of Christ. Just as a mother feels the pain of her children more acutely than anyone else in the world, when a child suffers, their mother suffers too. And after this, when Christ had died, the Synaxarion tells us that Joseph didn't go of his own accord to ask Pilate for the body, but that the Myrrh-bearing women, the women who would become the Myrrh-bearing women, Mary Magdalene and some others, they came to him and convinced him to go and ask for the body. Their concern for Christ, for the one that they loved, they went and advocated for him. They went to another to plead his case. And as often happens in a household, they convinced the man to do something. From there, they watched in the middle of the night, and they stayed up. They watched where Joseph and Nicodemus put Christ's body. Just like a mother will stay up and wait and watch until all hours of the night to make sure that her kids come home safely. Then they went in the middle of the night to the tomb, a tomb that was guarded by soldiers, a tomb that was sealed by a stone. And they paid no care and no attention to that because they were driven by caring for their Lord. In the same way, it doesn't matter what other responsibilities, what other things might deter us or stand in our way. In the middle of a night, when a child is sick or has a bad dream or needs to be comforted, a mother will get out of her bed in the dark of the night and go to her child's room and open the door to provide comfort. And when the myrrh-bearing women went to the tomb, they heard the proclamation of Christ's resurrection. And from there, they went and they told the rest of the disciples, the rest of Christ's family. We call them the apostles to the apostles, because the men that went out into the world and preached, the 12 apostles, first heard about the resurrection of the Lord from these women. And in the same way, a mother, not solely, but maybe specially, has the responsibility of bringing Christ into her home and teaching her children about the resurrection of the Lord, and to be an apostle to the members of her family. And so all of these things that we hold up about the myrrh-bearing women on this day, the second Sunday after Pascha, and we praise them and we sing hymns to them and we glorify them, and we will for the next week, all of the things that the myrrh-bearing women did, these holy acts of loving care and sacrifice, of sharing the message of the resurrection, of putting their own lives in danger, of advocating for the one that they love, of convincing others to do what is right. These holy things are the everyday life and tasks of our mothers, our grandmothers, our godmothers, and those that God has placed over us to lead us and guide us. Today, we celebrate not only the myrrh-bearing women, but the holy lives of mothers who truly are saints inasmuch as they do holy things by caring for their children and sacrificing for them. The example of the myrrh-bearing women should shine true and ring in our hearts today and the rest of our lives as we think about not only the role of these women, but the role of our mothers in our lives, because they're not separate. Our mothers are as holy as the myrrh-bearing women, for they have done the same holy acts in caring for their family as these women cared for the Lord.